Hello everyone, today I'm going to explain 5 technical questions from the CCNA exam. Let's start with the first question. The question is too long, so I won't copy it here. It's asking us to configure OSPF according to the following guidelines, which are these 3 rules listed below. First, it says that 2.1 is only allowed to establish a neighbor relationship with 2. If you look at 2.1 here, let's look at the first configuration. It advertises its own physical interface, right? And it also advertises its own loopback interface ID. Then the second requirement says that 2.1 should never participate in the DR election. Then the third requirement says its root ID must be set to 10.1.1.1. So configuration A fully meets the requirements. Now looking at B, B has its priority set to 100, so it does not withdraw from the election. In configuration A, the priority is set to 0, which means I withdraw from the election and do not participate in the DR election. Both B and C have their priority set to 100, so these 2 options are excluded. As for D, its OSPF root ID configuration command is incorrect. For OSPF, you don't add root in front, only EIGRP and BGP use root, right? So the correct answer is A. Let's check the correct answer. Choose A. All right, let's look at the second question. The second question is about subnet mask conversion. It's a question on subnet mask conversion. For the second question, it says, referring to the diagram, which prefix will router 1 use to reach this host? Host A, in other words, which route does the router match to reach this location? It matches based on the longest prefix mask. I'm going to this destination address, 13.0, this network, and then it matches this 208, the one with a 29-bit mask. The 29-bit one is this route. Why is that? It's because this 208 includes 214. 214 is included within 208. The 29-bit mask for 208 includes 214. So the correct answer is B. Let's see, the correct answer is D. All right, now for this configuration. This question is about applying this configuration to router 1. When it's applied to router 1, 2 static routes are written, and the network company is verifying the implementation. So if all the links are functioning properly, and the company sends a series of data packets from PC1 to PC3, which route should these packets match? Actually, after all this lengthy explanation, it's just asking you, which route should PC1 to PC3 match? They will precisely match this particular route. When router 1 ultimately receives the incoming data, it will then meticulously match the established default route and subsequently send it onward to the designated destination of 172.1620.0. It sends it to 172.1620.0, which is a reverse match, right? This network over here. So which is the next hop? It goes through this one, through this device. So the correct answer to this question is D. Let's see, the correct answer is D. All right, question 4. For question 4, it says that the router receives this IP address, with the destination IP address being 10.56.0.6. Which route will it match? It's about route matching again. Which specific route will it ultimately match to effectively send out this particular data? It's initially asking about the VLAN, but in reality, it's still fundamentally about the route matching process. Looking closely at this IP address, 10.56.0.62, it should definitively match this specific route, which is designated for VLAN 58. Why exactly is that the case? Because of the longest prefix match. With the longest prefix match, this 62, this one, is a 24-bit mask, right? A 24-bit mask, which means it's cut at one point, 128, right? And then the 25-bit mask is, well, the 24-bit mask is 256. right? This means that with a 24-bit mask, you have a total of 256 possible addresses or subnets. Then with a 25-bit mask, it's like making one precise cut, effectively dividing that range into two equal halves, 128 and 128. With a 26-bit mask, it's like making two additional cuts, resulting in four distinct segments, 64, 64, 64, and 64. So inside, what does the first 64 represent? It represents 0 to 63, 0 to 63. 0 is its network address, and 63 is its broadcast address, the broadcast address. So its usable addresses are from 1 to 62, 1 to 62. Right? So this particular route effectively covers all of those 62 specific addresses, including the very specific address of 56.0062. Therefore, we carefully choose this 58 with the longest possible mass match, which is VLAN 58. All right, let's look at this question. Question 5. Question 5 is, it says that this is our neighbor. Look at this diagram. And on the G000 interface, how should we configure OSPF on the interface to achieve the expected result? But it doesn't say what the expected result is, right? But if we look here, it's a point-to-point link. Since it's a point-to-point link, we need to configure the G00 interface on device 1 as a dedicated point-to-point link, right? Only then can the neighbor relationship be established. So the correct answer to this question is D. All right, submit. If you want to learn Cisco technologies or get access to Cisco question banks, please send me a private message, or you can leave a comment below the video for technical discussions.